It's very close, Alad thought excitedly. There are only a few moments left, and... A shudder seized him. A pleasant shudder of excitement. This is a unique feeling you experience as you approach your cherished goal, when you realize with a sigh of relief that the last frontier will pass and you are well done for having lived to see this day. No one has kept the name of the one or those who decided to send an expedition to the M135T09 star system. This system was close, much closer than other known systems. However, for the vastness of the universe, the concept of proximity is very, very relative. The proximity of the M135T09 system has been measured for thousands of years in one direction, and, accordingly, in the opposite direction. What attracted the M135T09 system except that, according to scientists, intelligent life is possible on it? Moreover, she is an exact copy of Alad's home planet, the home planet that he had never seen in his eyes, just as her father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and so on, had not seen. The only one who saw the planet was the progenitor of Alad, who left it for the sake of science. For the sake of understanding the universe, my son, Alad's father would say solemnly whenever the opportunity presented itself. The secrets of the universe allowed us to be here. For the sake of its secrets, we went to the goal. That's exactly what my grandfather used to say to my father, and his father to my grandfather. And Alad never for a moment doubted the sacredness of the mission. This is how every generation was raised. The M135T09 system, like Alad's home planet, was the third in a series of planets that waltzed in a slow, silent dance around a G-class star, a yellow star. The planet had one satellite, and it was removed to the right distance, thanks to which water on the planet is in a liquid state. It's an epic flight, gigantic, but not from the point of view of the universe, for it is just an imperceptible speck of dust. The ship, or even more precisely, the world, went to the planet of the M135T09 system. The best of the best, the worthy of the worthy, are on board. The light of learned minds. They left their home planet, realizing that they would never see it again, and that perhaps their descendants would never know what their homeland was like, the cradle of civilization that gave birth to such desperate creatures. They waded through the lifeless emptiness of space, a cold space that mesmerized the eyes and captivated the minds. The universe is beautiful, beautiful from the moment of its creation. All the colors created by an unknown creator shone in a special way in the darkness of the boundless cosmos. The stars and galaxies painted in those colors shimmered, and thanked the creator with their beauty. The stars attracted, captivated, and inspired. They can be contemplated for eternity, because they have existed for eternity. Alad stood in the pleasant semi-darkness, looking at the stars. He turned off the lights on purpose. How beautiful they are, he thought, mesmerized, unable to take his eyes off. The light of the stars, of the distant stars, penetrated through a large porthole. The ship has entered the boundaries of the star system. There is very little left. Alad saw a small celestial body, whimsically rotating, floating in its orbit. Here he is, the first inhabitant of the system. The ship sailed to its destination for 1,000 years, and generations changed during that time. Children were born on a ship, and they had no other world. They didn't know what a fortress was under their feet, and that there was a world where there wasn't a series of metal floors above your head that held the air securely, preventing it from escaping into space. They knew that there was such a miracle as the sky and the sun, what rain was and why it was snowing, because there wasn't a day that they weren't told about it and shown holographs of a distant house. Alad smiled in the semi-darkness. His children will have this miracle, and most importantly, he himself will see it. The ship passed through the orbit of the first giant planet, and several more loomed ahead. Soon, very soon. 1,000 years later, the ship reached its destination, passing through space, magnetic storms created by the impulses of explosions of dead stars, through asteroid fields and entire asteroid systems, miraculously avoiding instant death from a collision with a stray comet. The ship has reached its destination. A moment of excitement gripped everyone. What awaits them? What kind of fellow human beings will they be? Will they have a mind? Or maybe they're still hiding in caves, barely hearing the thunderstorm, begging for protection from strange mythical creatures. What do they call them in historical libraries? And so, everyone clung to the portholes, eagerly grabbing the surface of the planet with an excited gaze. And soon, very soon, despair seized everyone. The planet is empty. It's empty. Completely empty. There was no hint of intelligent life, because life cannot be born and survive on a bare stone ball. Even if the planet was in a convenient location, and even if, according to calculations, there should have been water on it, there was nothing on it. Just a bare stone ball, it was slowly spinning in the lifeless expanse of space. And there was no hope that she would ever appear there. The planet could not be mastered. And so, without a day's delay, the ship set off back along the beaten path. The ship was guided back by the knowledge gained during the expedition, and a lighthouse left on the satellite of its home planet in advance. The lighthouse was constantly sending a signal. It worked autonomously, and located on the solar side of the satellite. It functioned without any outside interference. It can work for thousands of years, giving a good signal. The journey from the M135T09 system to the house took the same 1,000 years. Generations changed again. Star wanderers were born and died again, and once again the children were told and shown a distant planet that they would never see, and which was their home. "We have not come all this way in vain," his father said solemnly. "We are learning the secrets of the universe, and it will not allow us to penetrate them easily. We must pay for everything," his father told Alad the same words that he had heard from his father. "And we're paying. And I am glad to know that you will see our homeland. A homeland that none of your ancestors have ever seen. But you will. And your children will live in a world that rightfully belongs to them." Alad understood the tears that flowed down his father's cheeks. "How happy I am to think that the dream of a house will come true for several generations. I am happy for you, proud of you, and I regret that I will not witness that moment." Their father died before he was a year old, when the ship approached the borders of the star system that was their homeland. My father found shelter in the greenhouse, in the place where all the dead on the ship rested. After death, the bodies are cremated, and the ashes go into the soil. Nothing is wasted on the ship. Everything is in motion. Alad sighed, a joyful sigh. There's very little left. And soon. They had already passed the asteroid belt between the red planet and that blue ball of shimmering green light among the scattering of stars. Just a little more, the ship was confidently heading towards the beacon signal. Alad frowned slightly, and anxiety slipped into his heart. The closer the ship got to the planet, the clearer the beacon signal became, and the more anxious Alad became. He remembered the stories about his home planet. He had seen the holographic image so many times, but now it was strikingly different from the stories and ancient photographs. That planet was shining so that it could be seen from space. Cities, continents drowning in artificial light, rivers of light, seas of light illuminating the planet. None of this happened. The planet slowly circled in space, waltzing in a silent dance. Dawn is clearly visible, breaking on one part of the planet as the other part plunged into night. Oceans, continents, and rivers were visible, but there was no light, no man-made light. "Check the signal and the atmosphere of the planet." Alad, one of the 3 captains of the ship, gave the order. It took artificial intelligence quite a bit of time to do this. The ship arrived exactly at the signal of the lighthouse, 100% coincidence. "Therefore, Commander Alad, we arrived at our destination." The voice of the artificial intelligence sounded human. This intelligence served from the first day the ship set off on the expedition. "The atmosphere is suitable for breathing and vital activity without a spacesuit." "Are you sure?" Alad asked, knowing in advance what the answer would be. "Absolutely, Commander Alad. This is the planet from which this ship departed 2015 years, 8 months, and 21 days ago." "But," Alad stepped forward in dismay, as if he was sure that he would be able to see what was below better. "But why does she look like that?" "I am not aware of this, Commander Alad. Since entering the star system I have been trying to establish communication. Unsuccessfully. but I consider it necessary to note that there is life and vital activity on the planet. Where are they? Alad took another step, looking at the planet. Who is Commander Alad? Cities. My scan did not reveal any active megacities, either forests or deserts in their places, but there is a presence of life. You've already said that. Alada began to get annoyed by the voice of artificial intelligence, having listened to it for so many years. Intelligent life. The Council of 3 Commanders has made a decision. Alad and his assistant will go to the planet, go to the very place from where the expedition members started almost 2,000 years ago. This decision was due to the fact that Alad volunteered, and the assistant was his best friend, who did not want to leave him. A small dot separated from the giant metal body, which sparkled in the gliding sunlight and rushed downwards. While the shuttle descended to the surface of the planet, and Alad and his assistant were shaking, the atmosphere of the planet reliably protected its inhabitants. Thoughts, guesses, doubts, and fears swarmed in the commander's head. Where are they? Where are those whom he and all the inhabitants of the ship consider part of their family? They had not come all this way to arrive on their home planet and find it empty. The shuttle passed through the atmosphere. It stopped shaking. Alad removed the shutters from the window, and he saw something that shocked him. He had never seen anything like this in space. Clear sky. The sky, Alad whispered, looking at him. And these are birds. An irregular flock of birds flew in the distance. Look. The assistant stretched his hand down. The ship landed, and the landing was surprisingly soft, but as soon as Alad and the assistant stood up, they felt an unusual heaviness in their bodies. The weight hampered their movements, the suit clung uncomfortably to their bodies, and it became difficult to breathe. What is it? Gravity force, Commander Alad, came the calm voice of the artificial intelligence. You are not used to it, moreover. Your bodies do not immediately adapt to it. I will also say that over the course of 2,000 years, in the course of a closed evolution, and, moreover, in outer space, there have been some changes in your physiology and physical development. You will be somewhat different from your kind that remained on the planet. If that view is still here. It's unbearable. The assistant winced painfully. Alad also felt the growing pain, the weight of the suit pressed down, and Alad jerked it off. What are you doing? The assistant was alarmed. I don't need it, Alad said calmly, getting out of his suit. There's plenty of air to breathe. What about diseases? The voice of the artificial intelligence is as calm as ever. And don't forget about allergies. My sensors have detected some changes in the planet's flora. Alad didn't think twice about the warning, taking off his spacesuit and remaining in a silvery blue jumpsuit. By getting rid of the suit, he only slightly reduced the weight pressing down on him. But it still got easier. Go ahead. The airlock swung open, and the smells were the first to enter the shuttle. Alad was even rocked by the unaccustomed. What's the matter with you? It's all right. What sweet smells. When Alad and the assistant got off the shuttle, they saw them. They stood in tight rows around the shuttle, and when Alad and the assistant clumsily got out and stepped onto the ground, they fell to their knees at once. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? The assistant looked around in excitement, as far as they could see. Alad looked down at his feet. Grass, he whispered, and didn't even notice the smile on his face. Raising his head up, he said, Heaven. One man came out of the dense ranks and approached Alad. He was wearing a robe of an unknown material and a strange color. Approaching Alad, he knelt in front of him, holding out his hands to him, palms up. An incomprehensible grumble was heard. He's talking, Alad said, the automatic translator still in his suit. What's he saying? I am glad to welcome you to our land. I am glad to see that you have returned. We believed that you would return and waited. Our ancestors bequeathed to wait for you, because you will bring knowledge and light to our world. The assistant smartly began to translate Aladu's words. And there's another word I don't understand. It's not in the dictionary. Look in ancient dictionaries. Alad was looking at the outstretched palm, and he put his palm on the surface of the outstretched one. The one who held it out shuddered. The others standing around exhaled at once. Their palms touched. Alad felt warmth, a special warmth, and a previously incomprehensible wave rose in his heart, which pinched his heart and clouded his mind. Alad felt water trickle from his eyes. Not understanding what was happening, Alad ran his other hand over his face. And then he looked at the palms touching. They were similar. Only Alad's palm was longer, his fingers thinner, and his skin whiter. The one who held out his palm was rough. The skin was rough. The color was white, but still darker than Alad's. The fingers were shorter. He smiled, got up from his knees, and motioned for the crowd to clear the way, creating a path leading to a strange pyramid-shaped structure with its top cut off. Alad walked slowly, looking around, his body aching from the unaccustomed gravity. He heard the assistant following behind with heavy tread, stubbornly unwilling to take off his spacesuit. In complete silence, interrupted only by breathing, the sound of wind and the rustle of grass, Alad climbed to the top, stepping on a slab that was covered with drawings carved into granite. "What is it?" Alad asked, absolutely sure that whoever had brought him here had not understood the question. He spoke. The assistant was translating. "He says that this is a legacy. This is writing about you." He said this incomprehensible word again. "He says these are the tablets according to which you are. But what kind of word is this? By which you will understand us and give us knowledge, skills, and guide us on the path of light and power that we, that is, they, previously possessed. So that we can become like you." The assistant exhaled wearily. "Even in ancient dictionaries I have not found an explanation for this word." Alad did not listen to the assistant. He looked at the drawings, even bent down to get a better look at them, although there was no special need for this. The slab was divided into sections. Each section has its own drawings. Here are fields. There are forests. A planet. Its satellite. In another section, there are seas, and those who inhabited these seas. Animals. And figures depicting those who owned the planet. White figures, black and yellow. And cities. Alada was not mistaken. These are definitely cities. Tall buildings, mechanical vehicles. "Are these formulas?" the assistant said in surprise. One of the sections was filled with formulas, images of chemical elements, physical calculations, and the laws of physics. But this did not attract Alad's attention. Most of all, he was occupied by another section. A ship was depicted. That's the ship. Alad did not doubt it for a moment. The very ship on which he arrived. Here is a picture of how the figures board the ship, with a circle next to the ship. This is a planet, Alad guessed. So the ship departs through the crookedly depicted stars to another planet, and the ship goes back and lands in the same place from where it started its journey. And the figures gather around the ship. "What's the matter with you?" The assistant was alarmed, watching a smile spread across Alad's face. That's it. Alad's thoughts were racing in his head. That's how it turned out. He turned his gaze to the cities. Right above them towered huge mushroom-shaped domes depicting fire. Fire is similar to what bursts into space when a star dies, and when an all-consuming flame destroys absolutely everything in its path, leaving only radioactive dust. These mushroom-shaped domes were destroying cities, and the ship was leaving the planet at the same time. The assistant heard Alad's light laugh. Alad understood everything, and his laugh, though light, smacked of bitterness. The best of the best, the worthy of the worthy, have flown away. They were not flying in search of the secrets of the universe or in a desire to discover a new world. They were escaping. The ship was supposed to leave the planet and return 2,000 years later. They were not supposed to find a new world, but to save the old one, if it remained intact. They definitely had to return. But something went wrong. They remembered their return, but did not believe it, and when it happened 2,000 years later. The descendants of those who left Earth met with the descendants of those who remained on Earth. The human race must be reborn, having received the knowledge and technology that was preserved on the ship that became the Ark for 2,000 years. An Ark where thousands of seeds, thousands of genes remained intact, and they were all waiting in the wings. An Ark where differences between people have been erased for thousands of years, where every hostile feeling towards each other has been nipped in the bud. They had to leave Earth in order for a new kind of person to appear in 2,000 years, who had nothing to do with the Earth's past, who could see not an enemy in his fellow man, but a friend. Alad only now realized why they were shown those cities. They had to revive them. It was their mission. And whole generations were preparing for the mission for the sake of the generation destined to set foot on Earth. But something went wrong. The descendants of those who stayed on Earth saw the descendants of those who returned from outer space as non-brothers, and although Alad still did not understand much with his mind, he began to grasp the essence with his soul. The man who had brought them to the top of the pyramid was talking hurriedly. "They are ready to serve us. They are ready to do anything to make us happy." The assistant looked shocked by the man's words. "And that word again. But what does it mean? They bring it to us all the time." "And what is that word?" Alad slowly straightened up, looking the man straight in the eyes. Alad is much taller than him. Weightlessness, even with artificial gravity, did not restrain the man's growth. "They call us gods."